Hi guys, welcome. Welcome aboard if you're brand new. Welcome back if you are not. And welcome home if that makes perfect sense for you today. Today we want to talk about what is up for the week of the 23rd through the 29th of December 2024. Our last full week of 2024. How about that? I don't even know what to say about that, y'all. This week has flown. As always, let's get right in. This week we start with a Libra moon. On Monday, the Libra moon sextiles Mercury, quincunxes Saturn, trines Jupiter, and Venus in Aquarius sextiles Chiron, still in retrograde. So on Monday, here's the deal. External tension can only find you if you're kind of leaning out, if you're looking for it, right? Absolutely. So if you are, in fact, leaning out into that outside world and experience, you may wish to choose your interior castle on Monday and create that in whatever fashion you'd like. But make sure that it is meeting your requirements of home. Remember, we're talking about Venus here. That is what home looks like, smells like, sounds like, tastes like, feels like, and it's always self-reflexive. To you is the key. To you. So figure that out. Let the figurative nature of those sensory experiences kind of cloak you very deeply, and let them be amplified throughout your fields, right? So whatever it is that you wish home felt like, or whatever you claim that as your experience, make sure that you're really sitting with it, and making sure that, that it amplifies for you, right? The only way it can. On Tuesday, the 24th, that Libra moon is going to oppose Chiron, trine Venus, quincunx Uranus, and then Jupiter squares Saturn. The moon will quincunx Neptune, and then that Scorpio sun, Capricorn sun, that Capricorn sun is going to quincunx Mars in Leo. Isn't that exciting? Capricorn season. Again, that inner realm is absolutely calling to you on Tuesday. So delve deeply into the most healed and most whole story, right? Tell it, retell it as often as you need to, and mind every impulse to find any kind of frustration in what is undone, right? Remember that divine timing is always your timing. So concern yourself and concentrate on forgiving yourself and loving yourself, even if you've not met up to your intentional plans, right? This Cap sun, at times, Capricorn suns can be very self-critical. So if that is what you're experiencing, especially on Tuesday, make your action to forgive yourself, right? You can absolutely do that, by the way. You can, I promise. On Wednesday, which happens to be Christmas in Western tradition. If you are a celebrator anywhere in the holidays, I wish you blessed and happy. On the 25th, the moon moves into Scorpio at 2:06 a.m. Central Time. And yes, if you did notice, by the way, I am using the same deck today. Don't ask me why. It just felt like the right one, so that's what I'm doing. Anyway, the moon moves into Scorpio early, and very shortly after, squares Pluto and then squares Mars. How exciting, huh? And then sextiles the sun late before the day turns. So whether or not you celebrate a holiday, Wednesday's energy is challenging energy. Okay, there might be instances where you have a choice as to whether you're going to, let's say, lob a verbal grenade or take an offensive position with someone. And it doesn't really matter whether this is within the bounds of a holiday gathering or who knows, right? It doesn't really matter. The key here is on Wednesday, your best option is to practice the pause. Be very, very clear on risk and consequences, because reactivity is going to come with a price. Yeah, on Wednesday. On Thursday, the 26th, that Scorpio moon is going to quincunx Jupiter, trine Saturn, quincunx Chiron, and then Mercury in Sag will oppose Jupiter, and the moon will square Venus. An old narrative or an old situation or something that happened a long time ago, right, may come back to haunt you on Thursday. Be absolutely sure to check in with how and whether any of that historical conversation or situation or anything of that looping back applies or aligns with your current reality. Give yourself all of the grace that you are due, right? And absolutely do not be backward when it comes to fully updating and claiming that fully healed reality, that new reality, both to yourself and to anyone else who might have been involved or might be involved, whether it's then or whether it's now, right? Don't be afraid to update whatever in order to be in alignment with your current choice of reality. And also resist the urge to be pulled back into that mindset, that story, that experience, right? There is no need. There is no need. And do not allow yourself or anyone else to create the energetic tie that might do that. So just be on guard. On Friday the 27th, Mercury squares Saturn. The Scorpio moon will oppose Uranus and trine Neptune. And then in the middle of the afternoon, the moon moves into Sagittarius. And that Sag moon will sextile Pluto and trine Mars. On Friday, making promises that you might not be able to keep, whether to yourself or to someone else, isn't ever good form. However, on Friday, it may prove, I'm going to use a really big word here, it may prove ruinous, okay? Yeah, those promises have the long-term possibility to create, let's call it a profound dissatisfaction and a challenge for you. So make sure that you lowball today or Friday. It is absolutely better to set yourself up to exceed expectations than it is to create a situation that is going to plague you later, right? So just lowball, right? On Saturday the 28th, Venus in Aquarius squares Uranus, and that Sagittarius moon is going to oppose Jupiter, square Saturn, and conjunct Mercury. Your vision and your sense of home may be shifting, or it might have shifted in ways that you didn't really even notice. So explore it, right? Realize that any change is going to be drawn into your conscious awareness because your mind is going to need to recognize, and that means to rethink about, right? To recognize how you're experiencing all of that in the 3D world. Now, it's not a thing that has to be done. It's not asking you to be in action. It's not a thing that you need to do. In fact, that would be quite challenging with the moon, with the moon's placements, right? Opposing Pluto and squaring Saturn, it would be problematic. But it's really a request to feel into the sensuous nature of that Venus square Uranus, right? So that what you amplify is the correct thing, right? There's a lot of challenge when it comes to don't conjure what you can't banish, right? So just be in awareness of it. And then on Sunday, the 29th, that Sag moon is going to trine Chiron in retrograde, quincunx Uranus, sextile Venus, and then at 3:13 p.m. Central Time, Chiron stations direct at 19 degrees Aries. The moon, still in Sag, will square Neptune, and then a little bit before the day turns, the moon moves into Capricorn. So here's the deal on Sunday. Even remember that even when you're called to compromise, in order to create peace with others, there you go. It is not necessitating you to compromise yourself, right? As Chiron moves direct, he's really not going to leave any room for you to be unclear when it comes to your own personal narrative, right? So claim your healing and absolutely never waver on that. The wider story of yourself and your truth within the collective, right? Remember, we witnessed that Jupiter square Saturn this week. This is about your wider truth in the collective. It will follow suit always, as long as you are holding fast to what you know with great clarity. So your capacity will expand along with your capability, right? Remember, you can do this. All right, let's talk, shall we? On Monday, we have the Two of Wands and the King of Cups. Lovely, lovely energy. External tension, right, can only find you if you are leaning out into the exterior experience. Okay, it's one thing to look out. It's another thing to lean out, right? We're talking about looking at your requirements of home. How can you create the future until you understand what you want it to be? You can't amplify what you have not chosen, right? And not choosing is a very dangerous choice. So make sure that you are allowing the requirements of your soul to be your leading edge, right? This is not, it's about, are you in the world or are you of the world, right? Make your choice wisely because it matters. It matters. And it has to be always leading with your heart and the experience that you want your heart to have. On Tuesday, Page of Pentacles, Three of Swords. Okay, so listen, we talked about this as really diving into your most healed story. What is coming in to show you how you have healed, right? What is your opportunity to claim that and to witness it? So tell and retell that story as many times as you need to. Really focusing on the fact that timing, right? This is an earth energy here. So this Page of Pentacles comes in to remind you about the timing, right? The timing of your healing and how you claim that absolutely matters. And again, if you have to, keep forgiving yourself over and over again. Keep reminding yourself of how far you've come, right? Not how far you have to go. Celebrate your transformation, not where you witness yourself lacking, right? On Wednesday, we've got the Five of Swords and the Star. I mean, I like it. We're talking about challenging energy, so Five of Swords is not too surprising. This is reminding you to practice the pause, right? In every choice, right? Remember, we're talking about the Five of Swords. This is a chosen conflict, right? This is deliberately planting your sword, deliberately leaning out with that blade, with your words, with your thoughts, with your ideas. Again, we're talking about the potential to be in the midst of holiday celebrations, if that's what you do, time with family, if that's not a thing you normally do. It might create a lot of situations where there are opposing ideas, opposing concepts, opposing anything, just opposing attitudes, people who are opposed to one another. You have the star here reminding you, oh, this is temperance. I'm so sorry. That's even better, isn't it? It's even more apt. Temperance, reminding you to temper your edge, right? To to choose the opportunity to put your own wisdom into action for you, right? Temperance says to you, let's take what has happened in your life with the gained experience of what you've done, right? So that together wrapped up as wisdom is where you learn whether you're going to lean in or whether you're going to lean out. Sometimes there's nothing to be benefited from a conflict. I know there are people in the world who just like to fight. I am not one, and honestly, I don't know many people who really do enjoy it, especially if the other person does not. You know what? I mean, if fighting's your jam, find somebody who likes to and go at it. But most people do not like disagreement. Most people do not like conflict. So resist the need to prove yourself on the 25th, right? If you know your own truth, there is no need to display it, to foist it, to use it as a weapon. Sometimes knowing what you know, like you know it, is all that matters. On the 26th, we have the King of Swords and the Seven of Wands. Again, we have this energy of conflict. This is the day where we talked about an old narrative, an old situation, an old set of beliefs might circle back, might loop back to kind of pop out of nowhere. And it might really get you. You might have to examine your priorities, your attraction to this situation, right? Why is it here right now? What is it teaching me? What is it telling me? The key is to really focus on what it is you're doing now. What are you experiencing now? What is your belief system now? And be in defense of that, not the old thing, right? You have to make the choice to be in the present time and ignore that old story outside of what it gave to you in terms of learning opportunities, right? Because you don't live there anymore. Page of Cups, Six of Pentacles on Friday. So this is that day where we talked about making promises and how there could be real long-term consequences of those promises. So again, we have this Page of Cups, which is asking you, here are some new things you might want to experience. And then you've got the Six of Pentacles. This is a beautiful energy of reciprocity. It's learning, it's teaching, it's giving, it's receiving. But here's the thing. Always temper that with what you know to be true in your heart. So as opposed to trying to sound impressive or look impressive, why don't you choose to excite someone with the reality of your actions, either in that moment or at a later time, right? Don't overpromise. Don't overextend yourself, because when that falls short, it's going to be unpleasant, right? And like I said, there can be long-term consequences with this energy on Friday the 27th. So just avoid it, sidestep it. Just promise what you know you can promise, right? On the 28th, we have the King of Pentacles and the Nine of Swords. So this is like big energy, right? It's just asking you in all ways to hold your space, even when it feels a little rocky, right? Nine of Swords is about anxiety. It's about the stuff that wakes you up in the middle of the night and keeps you awake, right? Stuff that we don't necessarily enjoy, stuff we don't really love. So your vision and your sense of home might be shifting, right? That solid ground that you experience as home, it might be changing and you didn't even realize it. Well, here's the deal. There's nothing that you have to do about it. So don't get caught up in, oh my gosh, what have I left undone? What have I not accomplished? What have I not finished? right? No, remember that your sense of home is always shifting and changing. And so if you wake up one day and realize, oh, you know what? I don't require this aspect. I mean, it could be as simple as a piece of furniture, but what we're talking about is the sensual experience, right? What it sounds like, what it looks like, what it tastes like, all those things. So let's say one day you wake up and you say, oh, I have always played classical music and now I would like some jazz, right? This is not a point of contention. This is a brilliant awareness of how your experience needs shift over time. So don't lose any sleep over it, but examine it especially, right? Because what it's telling you is how you get closer to your experience of home. And that might feel very utopian for you. So why would you avoid it? Don't avoid it. On the 29th, you have the High Priestess and the Three of Pentacles. Lovely, lovely energy, right? We're talking about compromise here. We're talking about when you are called to compromise, you have to maintain your intuitive space, right? You can't compromise yourself, even in order to collaborate with someone else. You cannot. You have to follow your own intuition, because the widest sense of what you're creating will echo out into the collective, right? So make sure that your intuition is driving that bus, because if you're not creating something that's going to last for you and for the collective, eventually when you bump into that thing in the collective, you're going to be really, it's going to be like a womp womp moment. You're going to be like, oh no, look, that's a reflection of something that I put into the collective and I don't enjoy it. So make sure that you're creating from that sense of bliss, of happiness, of contentment, of satisfaction. Make sure that you are aligned with what it is for you, right? Chiron goes direct, so your story is going to matter even more loudly, strongly, all of those things. All right, listen, I think it's a very interesting week to come across Amor Fati. Here's why. Because this is one of those up and down weeks. This is one of those weeks when it's a little bit challenging, when your feet are being held to the fire, right? When you have to put your money where your mouth is, so to speak, when the rubber meets the road, right? And so if you're really loving your experience, which is what this is talking about, you have to love the good and the bad. And I'm air quoting good and bad, right? Because those are just perspectives. You have to love everything that shows up in your fields, because that is your life, right? It's your story. And if you hate or reject part of your story, you're missing out on the lessons that are embedded, that are wrapped up in that part of your story. If you haven't dissected it enough to not hate it, right? Hate is such an active energy. Hate is holding on to that coal and expecting it to burn the other person, and then you wonder why your hand is scarred, right? If you still hate your story, you can't love it. So these are the parts of your story, especially in this week, that you're being asked to really show up for. There's a lot of up and down and in and out this week. So how you want to show up is exactly how you're always going to show up. Just make sure that you're showing up authentically, right? It doesn't even have to be love. It's just got to be authentic. You just have to be working toward that love, right? And then our oracle, we have faith, beautiful, hope, anticipate, aspire, foresee. This is number 41. So if we have a 41 or a 14 or a 5 that's important to you, just take that as validation. Otherwise, let's read. Clear credence sings the song of the heart. Grace supports boundless self-belief. Surrender, walk with faith, and trust in the power of the divine. Listen to the spirit whispers from the other side. You are entering a new phase of life. It is time. Step up with strong belief in your own inborn and learned abilities. Be certain of your own capacity to move forward fearlessly. Self-reliance spurs you headfirst into a bright future. Your crystal clear vision guides you forward on your golden pathway. Tap into the utmost influence of faith, hope, and love. If you are finding it challenging to embody your self-trust, rely on the higher power of universal love. Faith it until you make it, brave heart. The universe has you covered. It's safe to move through with all of your new plans. When you lead with your heart and self-assurance, everything will fall into place. Be brave. Get out of your comfort zone. Take that first step in faith, trusting that the next step will magically appear as you sense your way forward. You are a leader, pioneer. Jump forward with faith in action. Do not stay in the places you have outgrown. Leave the past in the past. And stop worrying about the future, as you only ever have the present moment. Divine timing is a powerful force that synchronizes opportunities to happen at the right time and for a significant reason. Trust that your life is unfolding in a meaningful way. Try not to control it. Did we not say divine timing is your timing? I think we did. Deep down, you know what you want for yourself. Stop fixating on the future and regretting the past. This is your time to soar. You've been waiting for this moment to rise and stride gracefully into the rainbow light to be reborn. Astonishing surprises await you on the other side. Step up now. Right. All right. I love that, mostly because we are at this cusp point of changing the year, right? So 2025 is literally right here. And so you have to ask yourself, how have I gotten where I am? And am I willing to change it, right? You have 3 kings in this poll, right? This is a big deal. You have the option to stay in your old story, to let the anxiety weigh you down, to keep defending things that no longer need defending because they're not part of your story anymore. And yet you're still actively doing that. So ask yourself, how am I moving? And am I moving in faith with my new narrative, right? Or am I loving the old and the past and the hurtful and the bad so much that I can't move forward into the good, right? And what's the key? What's the key? Trusting it, right? Trusting it and starting to learn to love it for the lesson as opposed to hating it for the pain it brought, right? Here's the deal. You don't have to give up your story. You just have to choose a different perspective toward it. You don't have to release your anger until you're ready. But you have to know that it's holding you captive. You might really want to choose how you can live free of all of the weighty attachments to your story and move forward lightly, right? Lightly. With all that wisdom and none of that baggage, right? You don't want to take your baggage into 2025, do you, my friends? I know you don't. I don't. So anyway, I am working on 2025 yearlies, and we will have January monthlies soon. So keep an eye out for those. And other than that, you know what to do. Be super blessed. Take care.